All right. Hello and welcome. My name is Ambrose from 3i Technologies. I'm the mobility practice lead here and a host of Beyond the Device. This is a show where we talk about the technologies and solutions within the mobility industry. You know, what goes around a phone and a tablet deployment? What sort of solutions are out there? What's the technologies? What does that product look like? And today, we've got two folks joining us. I've got Jim Rapp from AINA. Welcome, all the way from Buffalo, New York. Thank you for being here. And we've got also, we have our headphones in today because we have another guest, Chad Spain from Zello. Welcome, sir.
Good to be here.
So today we wanted to discuss kind of the world of push-to-talk. We've got back in the day, remember our Nextel friends, we had the push-to-talk there. We've got LMR radios out in the world. But yeah, we're going to talk about push-to-talk. What does it look like for the hardware side of things? You know, how do you get the microphone? What is it? Is it paired? What's the deal? And then what does the software side look like? It's not so simple like it used to be. So we've got a lot of different flavors of software out there, but that's what we're going to talk about today with Jim and Chad. So yeah, welcome folks. You guys have been in the industry for a number of years in the push-to-talk world. Jim, let's start off with you. Like, where did you come from? How did you get working with AINA and maybe in the channel too?
Right. Well, going back to January of 2002 is when I entered the world of mobility sales. I was working at Avnet Inc., which was a very large IT distributor. And they said, we're not going to sell your cash cow line of switches and routers anymore. You're going to sell mobility. And I said, what are the product lines? And they said, Intermec and Symbol, which at the time were NORAD and another line, Telzon. And I said, what's our run rate sales on those lines today? $0 per month.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was a greenfield opportunity. And I ended up at Avnet selling those product lines for about 7 years. Everything from supporting the ISVs in the industry and selling to the resellers. And then as Intermec left Avnet behind, they went to Synnex. Then they positioned me to be the national BDM for Intermec at Synnex. And when they pulled the line from Synnex and it went to Ingram Micro, they sent me to Ingram Micro to do the same thing. So it was a good run in mobility. And since then, I've worked at SODI, which is an MDM mobile device management or endpoint management solution provider, as well as stayed in the mobility industry. And then there's a gentleman I used to run into, Max LaRue, that founded the company AINA back in the day. Hired me to work in the North American, mainly U.S. Canadian markets, and been there almost 7 years, and it's been a fun ride.
Oh, great. Chad, what about you? Where'd you get started, and how you get Zello?
Yeah, I've got a very different background, a little less traditional probably than a lot of folks in channel. My background's actually started in mechanical engineering and got really my footing in diesel emissions, working for a big manufacturer. But I've since moved on into consulting and have been in enterprise sales for the last 10 years or so. But landing at Zello, my role has been to work with some of our biggest clients and land them through our direct sales channel. And now I'm helping building out channel, working with the value-added resellers and distributors of the world.
Cool. Very good. So push to talk then and now. What was push to talk originally, and how has it have evolved since then? Jim, do you want to start?
Yeah, I think most people's understanding of push to talk, or if they think they have an understanding of it, it's going to either go back to land mobile radios because they watched a police show and the policeman holds up his radio, presses a button and talks to the command center. Or, as you alluded to earlier, Nextel was pretty popular in its day. It had 23 million users in the U.S., where typically a business owner would give these Nextel phones to his staff, and he could message them all at the same time. So the economy of scale when it comes to voice communications was excellent with push-to-talk, whether it was radio-based or whether it was Nextel. Nextel no longer exists, of course, and it's either land mobile radios or, in today's world, there's an app for that, and that app would be Zello.
So what are the differences between a traditional push-to-talk and the ones on our cell phones now?
So again, to have push-to-talk on the cell phone today, does require a push-to-talk app. I think we're all used to loading apps on our phone to gain functionality. But the old push-to-talk, you had to set up your own network if you're talking about land mobile radio push-to-talk. And that network is expensive. You have to set up repeaters. You have to have your internal FCC licenses for your frequency. It can be a little daunting to set up for the uninitiated.
And why is it a critical need still across many of the industries today? Why not just make a phone call or send a text?
Right. Well, if anyone out there has kids and you call them, usually it goes to voicemail. The reason is the user can opt not to answer or send it to voicemail, at which point that need for real-time communications has been usurped. It's not happening, right? So in a world where there's not just critical communications, but business critical communications, the need to communicate and do so in real time is important for economic reasons, for business productivity reasons, and possibly safety reasons.
So, Chad, anything else to add on to that?
Yeah, I'd add in and say that there's a lot of different communication methods out there, and where PPT really comes into play is those industries that have that need for instant voice. So take retail and a Target or a Best Buy when they need backup up front with the cashiers because they're overwhelmed by long lines. They ask for cashier backup from the sales floor, from folks in the back room maybe. They're not going to send an email or make phone calls or send texts that aren't going to be seen for 20 minutes when that problem is inside it. They need to have that instant communication capability. And then start to multiply that into other sectors like construction, where you have moving equipment and dangerous materials. The need for instant communication is really paramount, and things like WhatsApp, phone calls, texts aren't going to suffice.
So, Jim, you're at AINA now. Where did AINA get started? What was the origin?
Yeah, so probably about 10 years ago, this gentleman Max LaRue, that I mentioned before, he was working in the U.S. He's a half German, half Finnish gentleman. And I met him at the conferences for Intermec and Symbol at the time. And we all meet hundreds of people a year. And he's I thought he was a neat guy, even though 10 years my junior or so. He was just a really interesting guy. And every time he would have another baby or something, he'd reach out. We'd talk maybe twice a year, maybe a year we don't talk at all. And then we're talking 4 times a year. And he told me he was developing this product, and he was asking, how would I take it to market? Manufacturers, reps, channel, tried to cover all the bases for him. And at one point, he said, Jim, we're ready to come. That was back in 2018. We're ready to come to America, and would you be interested in working with us? So that's kind of the evolution there. So about 7 years ago.
And AINA has 3 core products. We've got the voice responder, we have the Kepler, and then we have the smart button. Can you tell us about those?
Sure. I will take the voice responder first. It's our legacy product. It's our largest seller. It is a Bluetooth, industrial Bluetooth speaker mic. So again, if you think back to any police show you've ever seen where they reach to their chest, press a button to talk over a corded mic running to the land mobile radio, this eliminates the need for the cord, and the land mobile radio now is nothing more than a smartphone or an LTE tablet that all the users have. They're so powerful. compared to the early cell phones. So that's what's enabled us to deliver a Bluetooth push-to-talk microphone that allows for single-button push-to-talk, whether you're driving, whether you're on the job, trying to keep your eyes and hands at task. It's just a safety and productivity tool on the front end of a push-to-talk application running on a phone. And then...
So I'm just going to show the camera here. This is what we're talking about. This is the voice responder Bluetooth speaker microphone. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, and then there's the Kepler, which says, how about if we had a speaker microphone that had the phone built in? And now I don't have to pair the Bluetooth mic to a phone or a tablet. Now it's all in one. The user wears it again on their lapel, presses and holds the button. Oh, didn't realize they were turning.
They're working, yes.
And then, so it's just a packaging difference, right? So instead of having a separate phone and a separate speaker mic, it's an all-in-one device. This device does run Zello, and it's certified on the AT&T network.
So it takes a physical SIM card.
It does
to receive data.
Right,
Okay.
a data SIM. There's no voice. There's no SMS texting. It's strictly real-time voice over a data SIM.
Is there any? These look like they're designed for many different industries, but looks like glove-friendly, tactile buttons, which is like something that we forgot about that we sometimes would like to have.
Right, without question. They are used by some European military organizations, large police forces in Europe. In the U.S., it's really tilted towards construction, namely the concrete and ready-mix industry is a very large industry that from small mom-and-pop shops up to very large fleets of thousands of devices, because it is that glove-friendly, rugged device that they can count on to work day in and day out.
I noticed that there was also a lot of accessories. You have a 5-bay charger that can be rack mounted, which I have in the lab here. And then you've got a desktop charger, which looks like it's great for if it was like a dispatch person they just have on their tabletop charging at all times. And then the vehicle mount, which is like a type A USB out to either a charger that's in the vehicle or to, if you have a bunch of other things mounted in the vehicle, you could have it connected to a cradle or a dock that's charging a tablet, for example.
Right. Yeah, that USB-A connection. A lot of times, as a purveyor of RAM, you'll sell the dual power supply, one for the tablet, and then the second one can be used to charge our mic. Our mic is always charging then. When the user gets out of the vehicle, in the world of construction, that tablet, that LTE tablet, is locked down in that mount on the dashboard. It cannot be removed by the driver. They need to be behind the truck, in front of the truck, on the side of the truck, getting a delivery sign for, talking to the site manager, whatever the case is. That's the beauty of the Bluetooth mic versus a wired mic, is now they can get out and roam around that vehicle. We have customers tell us they can be 100, 200 feet away from the truck and stay connected to their communication.
What about specific industries? You were talking about some of them now, but what are some specific applications and specific industries?
Some very common industries that we support. Lately, a lot of ambulance companies, whether small or large, they all have radios already, but they have to talk to a lot of different support teams, whether it's at their own shop at the ambulance company, it could be a hospital, it could be the police. They use quite often Zello because Zello provides it for free to public safety workers. They'll have, even though they have radios, they'll use push-to-talk in our devices in addition to radios for that ecosystem that they built where communications have to be between interagency.
So let's kick it over to Chad. We've been talking a lot about the hardware side of things, but tell us, like, what is Zello and how does it enable instant communication across different teams?
Yeah. So Zello is the application that can be loaded onto any smart device, so Android or iOS, that enables your phone to basically turn into that old LMR walkie-talkie or radio. So it's got that instant voice, push-to-talk functionality on the smart device you already have in your pocket so that you can eliminate all of that extra clunky hardware out of your arsenal.
If I understand right, Zello is just not push to talk. What other features are in there?
Yeah. So as we know, those old radio LMR technology, once you send that message, it's gone. So the thing that's amazing about Zello is that it's that digital communication and you can do a lot more with it. So all of a sudden we can take all those messages and store them in the cloud so that you can go back and troubleshoot or do postmortem if there was an issue. Because you're utilizing a smartphone, you can send photos or text or have voice messages transcribed so that you can easily skim and get caught up with messages. We even have GPS built in so that if you need to send a duress signal, which is another capability, you can actually pull GPS coordinates and open up a hot mic that gets sent to a response team. So there's a lot of different capabilities that we've packed in for different use cases to make it more of a full-fledged solution than just, hey, push a button and your voice sends to the other end.
Jim mentioned some specific industries that AINA does well in. Can you mention a few yourself?
Yeah, so we overlap with all the industries that Jim had talked about. Maybe what I would emphasize or add in would be retail, both front of house and also the logistics side and warehousing. Manufacturing, I'm sure that is somewhere AINA is as well a bit. And also aviation. So both below the wing and above the wing, connecting gate agents to baggage handlers, for example.
Now that the software is agnostic to the device, I mean, it doesn't have to use an AINA push-to-talk speaker microphone. They could just use the screen to initiate the call or maybe a hardware key on the side of the device. What's the value of being agnostic like that?
It really enables our clients to choose their own destiny in terms of how they want their teams to be able to communicate and what that experience looks like to make them most effective at their jobs, get business done, and drive revenue into the business.
All right, so I've got obviously both of you here, Aina and Zello, because it's a better together story. You work really well together, but how does Aina actually integrate with Zello?
Right. So the relationship goes back to the very beginning of Aina, where Aina approached Zello and said, we have this new mic. It's rugged. It offers 2 push-to-talk buttons, which is kind of unique. Has the emergency button, has channel scrolling, so you can hear additional channels beyond the 2 that are represented by the 2 buttons on the mic. But there is some base level integration that has to be done. When you push a button on the AINA mic, it sends an intent. The push-to-talk application, Zello, has to understand what that button press is asking for. So the integration was not difficult. It was done many years ago. As new Zello releases come out or AINA releases new firmware, we work together to test and ensure that it's going to be that better together solution, as you mentioned.
Chad, how does it usually start with Zello? Do they get a trial license and then they want to experience some more of the features?
Yeah, good question. So we get a lot of trial requests every month. And actually one of the reasons we're excited to partner with 3i and others in the channels to help us, get those moving. But often, they'll start up an instance of Zello, play around with it, get a feel for it. I mean, some of our clients buy it without ever even talking to us because it's so easy to use. But then others will say, hey, look, we really want to tailor the user experience and understand what hardware choices we have and how we make this really work for frontline workers so that it is adopted well. And so that's where we sometimes will get involved or make recommendations such as AINA to make it work for the use case.
Can you give me examples of an AINA and Zello solution combined together out in the field, like a real world example?
As Zello represents probably 75% or better of the app that we interface with in real clients on a day in, day out basis, it really is across the spectrum. But without question, the construction industry, the ambulance, public safety, trucking and logistics, distribution, manufacturing. There's deals of every flavor on my calendar every month. So we work well with Zello. Zello works well with us. And the customers, after they trial Zello, generally say that they've been introduced to AINA by Zello, or they saw it on their website, or the support team mentioned it to them. At which point, if they're looking to try a product, we're pretty generous with a seed unit program where we can loan them a device or two or more, if depending on the situation. And that allows them to try the products together.
Is there anything on the roadmap in the future this year or next year that you could share? What's upcoming? Jim, start with you.
Yeah, we have what's kind of just an internal message now. So this is the first unleashing of it to the general public. We should have a wired version of our voice responder available Q3, Q4 that will support one channel because it is a wired mic. You've only got the one push-to-talk button. But that's exciting because it will, in effect, double the number of clients that we can serve, because there are cases where users insist on having a wired mic to the LTE tablet or phone.
Yeah, it may be a mandate or of some kind, or rule or regulation from the Department of Transport that maybe they has to have one wired microphone.
Right.
Kicking it over to Chad, anything on the roadmap for this year or next year you want to talk about?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a pretty full roadmap of different capabilities that we want to develop, such as voice commands and pinned messages, some of which are far along, actually. But the most prominent capability that we're working on, which we already have two features built, is around AI. And I know everybody is doing stuff with AI these days, but imagine, circling back to the point I made earlier about you've got all these messages being sent inside of a network. What do you do with them that's interesting, that drives more value to the business? So we have a product called AI Digests that, and of course this is, you can turn this on or off, but takes all those messages and gives a soundbite to the district manager, regional manager, or a location manager of what's going on inside the business or that distribution center during that one shift, during the day, during the week, just to give them a snippet of what's going on inside the business. So this is something that we commonly hear from executives, is they're just not lacking visibility as to what's going on in the business at that ground level. And this helps solve that.
Well, that's pretty interesting. Give me the summary of what's been going on. I'd like to hear that. We're doing that every day now with our Teams meetings, and we've got next steps, summaries. Like it's AI is being integrated with everything that we're doing nowadays.
Yeah, and I'll add on to that, which is that, my background's in direct sales, so we'll use Gong or some of those other tools, and they're always giving us AI summaries. And so this is just our way of enabling that kind of capability, not only to apply to desk workers, but also deskless workers.
Change gears a little bit, talking about the channel and how to work with partners. Jim, how does AINA work in the channel?
Great question. In the North American market, very early back in 2017, 2018, we established a distributor in Canada that would handle the sales to resellers. That distributor also does handle sales through Bell Canada and is working with TELUS carrier reps. So as the resellers would come to us, we would just direct them back to Alcan in Edmonton. That way we had a single point of contact. They could buy from us in US dollars, sell in Canadian, handle the PST, GST, and all the different STs they have up in Canada, so we didn't have to be accounting experts. In the US, we really were doing a lot of direct sales, whether it was to resellers or end users. And we made a concerted effort a few years back, and that's when we kind of interviewed 3i to be that distributor for us and start emulating what we do in Canada here in the US. And it's been working well in our estimation, and we see it trending more and more to pushing what might be direct resellers to 3i and end user deals to 3i, who then can align them with a reseller in their area, in their region.
Yeah, we're stocking the product today in our warehouse in this building. But when it comes to your team, you're able to, like, we can come in for if at an opportunity and work with our channel partners to talk about what the product solution is. But you have a team and yourself, you're able to go onto the end user calls and have those technical conversations, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. We're there to lend support, guidance, both at the very beginning, right through the whole life cycle while they have our product. We'll still be available to support them, but it's alongside of the reseller and distributor, so they can actually get more resources at their disposal when we work with partners.
Chad, we're 3i and Zello are talking about a partnership. That's more to come on there. But can you tell me today, like, how do you work with the channel and channel partners?
Yeah, so we're very excited about the partnership that we're building with 3i. And I think what I'll say is that Zello's been around for 12 years. Most of our business and focus has been direct, but we have worked with resellers opportunistically as a VAR has an opportunity with a client that they're serving that needs push to talk. So they give us a ring and say, hey, we want to take a look at Zello as a solution for this need that our client has. So we get that deal done. And over the years, we've built a reseller framework for all these different partners that we've worked with. But it hasn't been until somewhat recently, last year or so, that we've said, you know what, why don't we focus on really developing how we work with resellers, distributors, other partners in the channel. And so that's what myself and a couple others in our organization are really focused on developing and doubling down on this year.
If someone were to do the trial license, which seems like I would, if I was a channel partner, I would just direct them to try the trial first, at least to get it in their hands. We know that, high close rate if they're going to demo something. Let's say they wanted to get it and they purchase it. What's the onboarding look like?
Yeah, so similar to Jim, we're really available to hop on calls and help with that sales process and co-sell. But we have a couple of things built that really enable this to work seamlessly for resellers and partners of ours, one of which is a partner console. So if you're a reseller that starts working with us, we actually give you a console and the ability to create networks for clients that you're selling to directly. So once you get used to our product and it's second nature for your sales team to go out and sell and close and write in as a line item into the contracts that you have, you can actually go spin up a network and not even talk to us and just get it done. And we just build based on what's in the console. So we've got some pieces there built to really enable us to partner with resellers to run and sell Zello and not have to worry about hassle administratively with us.
So it sounds like getting a 2-week trial started is super easy to do. What are the alternatives to that? Jim, we'll start with you.
I would say quite often people will call me and suggest that they've started a trial. Others will call and say they're about to start a trial and they wanted to have a discussion about the push-to-talk accessories so that the timing would go together, right? They could have the mic, they could start their trial. But Chad might have some thoughts on it as well.
Chad?
Yeah, I mean, basically, as Jim's saying, it's really easy to get a trial started of Zello. You can go online and do that on your own. We give away a 14-day trial very easily. But we find that we develop really great solutions with clients when you just get in touch with us first, have a conversation or two to really understand your use case, how you want your teams to communicate, the structure of your current communications, so that we can get a trial started with the right hardware, such as an AINA speaker mic, and give you that full experience from the onset.
Yeah, they'll start the trial, and then a week down the road, they're like, I wish I had a physical button to key up this Zello licenses, and then you're already burned a week of your trial, right?
Yeah, it certainly does happen. Zello's real good about pushing those trials out so they can last longer. But to Chad's point, it's always better to know what they're trying to accomplish, consult with them, advise them, and set up the proper proof of concept or trial right from the beginning with the right components.
That's great stuff. Now, we're all on the road. Change gears again. Is there any, there's a lot of trade shows out there. There's a lot of industry events to learn about mobility and mobile solutions and connectivity. Do you have any favorite industries, events that you participate in, Jim, on the road? I know we've come across each other now and then.
Yeah. I will say it's one of the bigger events that we do. We did it. It was the last event I was at when the COVID hit in that March of 2020. And they said, it's only Friday, but everybody go home. But World of Concrete, it is a massive show. It's bigger than the SEMA show in Vegas. They take up all of the wings at the Las Vegas Convention Center. They take over parking lots at Circus and the Marriott. They have every imaginable piece of hardware, software for the concrete industry. And of course, communications, you'll see partners like us, software vendors, sprinkled throughout the 10,000 plus vendors that are there.
That one is not every year, though, right? That one's like every few.
It is every year.
It is every year.
We did not go this year because we had some other events that we needed to do, and we were just trying to divide and conquer. But we'll be there next year. It's always a strong show for us. And as we've been doing this for close to 10 years now, it turns into a PR event too, because we see a lot of our customers. They'll come over, oh, I know, we use you, and then, we do meet net new partners, and usually we get some business out of the show. So it's always a fun one.
Chad, I know you guys have been on the road. I ran into Narubi at Procore's Groundbreak show, but any other shows stand out?
Yeah, definitely the biggest show that we have a presence at is NRF, the National Retail Federation, in January in New York. So we've got a pretty big presence there. But yeah, Procore, Groundbreak, ProMat. We've been at World of Concrete in the past. Probably at first when you asked this question, you said, I was thinking where you're going is, what are your favorite shows? And I will say we went to C-Trade last year, which is a cruise conference, and I'll highly recommend if anybody gets a chance to go to that show. Very colorful and interesting.
So we're getting ready to wrap up here, but I'd like to end on maybe a customer success story that's better together between you two. Jim, you want to tell a story?
Yeah. About a year ago, we had a customer reach out to AINA through our website. It turns out he was testing Zello, had deployed it up in Seattle, and he had gone on Amazon and purchased some mics that were not expensive, let's say, and they were lasting an average of 3 to 4 weeks because he's not just doing business in Seattle on the waterfront, he's up and down the Pacific Ocean from Seattle all the way up to Alaska. So he found that using Zello was empowering his workers to stay connected and build efficiencies. But on the hardware side, he was going to go broke buying the inexpensive mics. So now that he has Zello working with the AINA mics, they've expanded to many of their other ports, and they're actually working on ships. They do trucking. They actually are on the ferries that take the train cars between different cities along the coast. So very exciting, very interesting use case for both Zello and AINA.
Yeah, and actually what the story reminds me of is one of the value adds of Zello, which is that it's because it operates over Wi-Fi or cellular, just basically internet connectivity, you aren't confined by the same range limitations as a typical LMR radio. So like in this story, you can use it on a ferry, you can use it on the mainland, you can use it in the HQ or at a facility halfway across the country or the world for that matter. And it will work seamlessly as if you were talking from the other side of the same building connected.
That's a great win. That's a great way to end. I'd like to thank Jim Rapp from AINA.
Pleasure. Thank you.
And I'd like to thank Chad Spain from Zello.
Thanks so much for having me. It's good to be here.
And that's a wrap. You can reach out to us in the description below. We've got everyone's contact information. All the resources are there. And if you'd like to learn more about working with 3i, please reach out to us and see what's possible. See what's possible with AINA. See what's possible with Zello. But that's a wrap. Thanks, everyone.